stopped. So we are now sure that our populate data function works well. So we know that we've gotten the number of courses in our function, and we need to get the results of, as in, we need to be able to get the list of courses, the list of units based on the number of courses. And we know that the text for each course might be different. So here's what I'm saying. We want to be able to run this function such that the courses that is being displayed here is different each time it runs. Right now, this populate function does not take any parameter, which is a good thing. But we want to run this function such that we don't, as in, it gives us everything we need. And okay, I think we'll be able to reuse this. So what I'm trying to do, we need to keep a list of all the courses that the user is taking. So we're going to make use of an interesting feature in Python classes known as the init method. Now, this init method might be similar to, is known as the constructor. So for those of us that might have experience with another language, this init method is where we initialize any variable that we want to be accessible to instances of the class. So here I'm going to store the list of courses. So courses is going to be an empty list. So that, then the next thing is, based on the input of the number of courses, I want to populate. I'm going to create another FO method. So def populate all courses. Ideally, I don't think this method is useful, but let's see. So let me just do it this here. So for I in range, so there's a range function in Python where whatever value we pass in self dot number of courses. So the way the range function works is, if we're to create passing a value, then the for loop runs that numbers of times. So let me show you what I mean. So if I should say for x in range 3, print x. So you can see x when is 0, x when is 1, x when is 2. So it literally prints the result of that value. So I pass in range 3 and it starts counting from 0, 1 to 3. But in this case, I'm not interested in printing the result here. I'm interested in calling the result of this function and passing it to our list of courses. So in these courses, I want to create a course that consists of a dictionary that consists of the course. It has a course field, it has a unit field, and it has a grade field. So response, so I'm going to course unit grade is equal to populate data. Then self dot courses dot append, and I'm adding a dictionary. Course is equal to course, unit is equal to unit, grade is equal to grade. So with this now, based on the number of courses, this function runs and updates the number of courses. So based on this now, I'm going to call this function again. I'm going to get the user input, and after this user input one, I'm going to print the result of instance dot courses, so that we actually see what. So let's exit the shell. And this time around, I'll just call Python GPA.py. Okay, so something is wrong. Line 56. Line 56. So what is the error? Requires one missing argument. Repeat when wrong requires error message. So repeat when wrong. Okay. So remember, we fixed the implementation of the repeat when wrong function. It's supposed to take in the actual text. So please enter the number of courses. That is the first. That is the second text it's supposed to take. Okay. Enter the number of courses. All right. Just split everything in new lines so that we know that it takes in 3 parameters. So let's run. So right now we have get response. What does get response take? So we're not interested in get response now. We're interested in the get input. So let us be sure that we're doing the right thing. So this is no longer get response. This is now get input. Let us look at the content of get response. So how many courses do you take? So this should be the actual text. How many courses do you take? You can see how our solution ends up evolving. And that is how programming is. You come up with an initial solution. Over time, you should be ready to throw that solution away to come up with a much better solution. So from our usage, this get response is literally useless now. And we end up removing it because it's not going to be useful for our code. We've come up with a much more better solution. So we're to run our Python GPA.py. How many courses did you take? Let me use 3. Okay, enter the name of the course, GG101. Enter the unit 3. Enter the grade B. Let me try something funny. GG102. Enter the unit. I put hello. Okay, please enter an integer. It asks me again. Enter the unit of the course. I put 2. Enter the grade. I put G. Okay, please enter itself. I put capital letter C. So enter the name of the course. So the next course is GG103. Enter the grade 3. Enter unit 3. Enter the grade A. And you can see this last line prints out the courses. Courses GG, this and this. So you can see now how we've been able to capture the result of this and add each item to the original list that we created when we initialized the constructor. So we successfully, once this runs, we've gotten all the inputs. So the next step now is to determine, we have everything we need to determine the GPA calculator. So let's create the function that helps us to do that. Def calculate GPA. Def calculate GPA. All right, so to calculate GPA, what's the formula again? We need to get the sum of all the total units. Then we know that each grade has a particular mark. So A means 5, B means 4, C means 3, D means 2, E means 1, F means 0. All right. So we need a way to be able to get the actual unit based on a grade. So let's create an helpful function outside our code. Def grade score. And when we pass in the grade, I'm going to use the dictionary in this case. So the options are A. When it is A, it is 5. When it is B, it is 4. When it is C, it is 3. When it is D, it is 2. When it is E, it is 1. When it is F, it is 0. So at this point, we're assuming that whoever is going to use our function is going to pass in the lowercase version. We know that we can get the uppercase and the lowercase from the user. But right now, we're coding it to just be the lowercase. And based on that, it returns the value. So we need to return options. So because options is a dictionary, if we pass in the key, it returns the value. So we need to ensure that the key that is being passed in is always in lowercase. So that is grade.lower. And based on that, it ends up returning the value. Let's test it out. IPython. Let's copy out this function. I don't want to import it inside this place because I just want something simple. And if I now call grade score, and I pass in capital letter A, can still give me 5. I pass in small letter A, he gave me 5. I pass in small letter D, he gave me 2. I pass in capital letter D, he gave me 2. So we can be sure this is our grade function works well now. All right. So, but the truth is, we're really not interested in the actual grade of the user. So well, we could use that, but let us add another field here called grade score. And this grade score is going to be the grade score of the grade. So of course, if we run this function, we still end up getting, because we can be sure now that our grade score function works well. So let me add a comment on this grade score function. And this, what does this grade score function do? This grade score function returns the actual score based on a grade. All right, so we've implemented our grade score function. So coming back to our GPA calculator, we need to calculate the weighted score. And to calculate the weighted score, it means the grade score function multiplied by the number of units for each course, right? So I'm going to make use of some of the inbuilt functions. Now, there are two ways we can go about it. We could create a temporary variable, total weight score is equal to, going to be initially equal to 0. Then for course in self dot courses, weight score, which is WS, is equal to courses dot unit. Course dot unit. No, it's not dot now, because be careful. Course unit multiplied by course grade score, and then we add the result. Total weight plus is equal to the result. So we can see we really don't even need this variable. Let us make things explicit, and we do that till we get the total weighted score. We also need the total units. Total number of units initially is equal to 0, and as we're adding this, total number of units is equal to course unit. And based on the output of two of them, we return total weight score divided by total number of units. And based on that, instead of printing courses now, courses dot calculate GPA. So let us print this thing. So print your GPA score is, we use the string substitution dot format, and we are done with our program. Please, this is a very simple solution for our program. So we exit this and let's run our code. Python gpa.py. How many courses do you take? Let me use 4. So enter the name of the course, GG101, unit 3 units. I got B. GG102, enter the name of the unit 3. I got C. GG103, enter the name of the unit 4. I got A. GG104, enter the name of the unit 3. I got D. You can see the GPA score was 3.615, and that is very simple. So Well, we've not really made use of the power of classes in this way, but at least we've learned a few things. We've learned how to create instance method. We've learned how to make use of the constructor, and we've learned how to call. As in, we created an initial value here. So instead of this get input method that we had to create manually, and we had to call manually here, we could literally choose to call it directly from the constructor. So at the point when we create this class, it will just call this for us, and then it only ends up printing the result. So let's add that. So self dot get user input, and based on that, we don't need to do this. So once we initialize our constructor, it calls this part of the code, get user input, and based on that, it calculates GPA. In fact, we don't even need to call this. We could literally just initialize everything once and call everything line by line after it has initialized this. So instead of instance here, instance is represented by self. We just need to do this. So once we kickstart the application, it runs self.courses, it gets the user input, and based on that, it generates the result. This is a very simple example of how to use classes. So far, in this example, we made use of instance classes, instance method, and instance variables. There's also what is known as the class variable. So if, say, for instance, now, we were interested in, let's say, perfect example of class variable, we wanted to get the cumulative GPA for 4 people, and we had all their data already. So there's really not much difference between an instance method and a class method. The only difference is a class method is prefixed with the class method. So if I were to type this now, def hello def create def new GPA. First parameter instead of the self keyword now is now the CLS keyword, and the CLS in this place represents the class. So return CLS. So what am I doing here now? I literally just created a class variable, and in this case, me calling new GPA is the same thing as me doing this, where this GPA calculator. So this GPA calculator here is literally the same as the CLS in this place. So what does that mean? It means instead of me doing this now, I could literally do this here as GPA calculator dot new GPA, and it does the same thing. So I literally do not need to create an instance, because we know that once this new GPA runs, it creates an instance of the class, and since it creates an instance of the class, it automatically runs everything on the instance. Do you want to test it out? Let's see. So I comment out that line and I run Python GPA.py. You can see it does exactly the same thing. So this is an example of a class method. We want to find out. So let's say, for instance, now we want to get the total number of. Now let us look at this scenario now. We want to ensure that we wanted to calculate the total number of our GPA for the first, when we're in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, or whatsoever is it. We wanted to get the GPA for each of the years and print out the result and calculate the cumulative GPA for that particular user. We could find a way to, since we've implemented a simple GPA class to do that, we could use the class method and augment it to implement a cumulative GPA. So how do we go about it? We know for a fact that we are interested in implementing the GPAs for each of the years that we are in. And after that, it prints out the result. It prints out And the final result, it gives us a very nice layout of when we're in year one, this is what we did. When we're in year two, this is what we did. When we're in year three, this is what we did. When we're in year four, this is what we did. And the cumulative GPA, this is what we did. That is what we want. Of course, we're going to try and make use of a class variable to do that for us. So as we're taking the CLS, we're passing in the number of years that we want to calculate. Based on so instead of this new GPA, I'm going to change the name to calculate cumulative GPA. So based on number of years, I'm going to create 4 instances of our class. So what do I do? Okay, I can combine everything I could make use of everything as a list. So all years is equal to create an instance of each of them for x in range number of years. So at this point, I have all of this. Then now it's time for me to print the result. For x in all years, print the GPA for year one is this. Okay, so format, we know that x is in the index, which in this case is always 0 big, so I'm going to add +1. And what was the GPA? How do you get the GPA from the class instance? So now this all years is literally, so I'm interested in both the index and the value. So instead of all years, I'm going to make use of an inbuilt keyword here known as enumerate. So this gives me the index as well as the value. So format index and the value dot, because the value is actually the instance of the class, but I'm interested in GPA, and we already have a way to calculate the GPA. So, but right now, we're just printing calculate GPA. We actually want to store the results so that we don't end up calling this function every time, although it's not a problem. And also, we don't want to print this statement, or we can choose to print the statement based on print statement is equal to false, is equal to true, because we want it to still return the default behavior. So if print statement, then we want to print out the last result. But in this our function here, we are going to pass it as print statement is equal to false, because it's an optional argument. So you can see the way we pass it as an optional argument, statement is equal to true. Of course, we didn't, since it was only parameter there, we could literally have chosen just passing it as false, and Python would have been able to read it out. But it really doesn't matter. Either doing this way or doing the other way, we get the same result. All right. So value dot, let me do this simple this thing, calculate GPA. So we can get the GPA for each of the users. Now this is going to be expensive because if we look at the implementation of calculate GPA, it's always going to keep on running this every time. So what we can do instead is we can save the result as a variable. Self.gpa is equal to self.calculate GPA. So it only does it once the first time, and we can just keep on calling the value GPA. I keep on calling the value GPA. All right. So all right. So print the result for year one is the index and the list. And finally, we want to print out the cumulative, as in the total GPA. And to calculate the total GPA, we need what? The total weighted score, and as in the total weighted score divided by the total number of units. So what does that mean? It means we need a way to actually keep track of the total number of. So all these values that we have here, we need them to be accessible. So it's literally quite simple. It's just by replacing this with self dot self dot self dot self dot, and we don't even need to do this anymore because we don't need to return this value. What we need to do instead is go to comment out this, and because we know that after this self.gpa is equal to, then the result of this is equal to self.total weighted score divided by self.data calculator. So the only thing we just need to run now is just to run this function, because we know that by the time we run the calculate GPA function, it will have created the total unit score and it will have created the self.gpa, and we have access to the self.gpa in this place. So we now have access to the total score because it will have been initialized in the class after it runs here. So we're interested in the complete total weighted score for each of the results in all years. So I'm going to make use of some inbuilt functions provided. So total weighted score is equal to, so there's a sum function that comes with Python and it takes in a list. But instead of the list, we're interested in just the total weighted score for each of the items, each of the years, in all years. So it's going to be x dot, we're interested in the total weighted score and the total weighted unit. Total weight, so get the results. Total weight score. Total weight score for x in all years. So we've gotten the value for total weight score. Total units is equal to sum x dot total number of units. X dot total number of units for x in all years. So we have the total weighted score, we have the total number of units, we already have the cumulative GPA because we are literally dividing all of them together. So let us print it. Print your cumulative GPA is, that is total weighted score divided by total weighted total units. And are we willing to check this out? Let's try it. So it's no longer new GPA, and we're not returning any results. We're just outputting this value. Calculate cumulative GPA because it is a class method. And okay, and we need to pass in what? The number of years. So in this case, I don't want to type much, so I'm just going to do 2 years. So okay, yeah. So right now, we would, as in, want to make this program look present. It works, but we want to make it look presentable so that when we're in year one, the first thing is, instead of it just asking us, say, how many courses did we take, it should ask us that, hey, okay, you are now in, as in, welcome, impute your year one course, as in, impute the courses for your year one. That is the first thing before you now start next note. Welcome to year one data, enter the courses. Then when we're in year two, welcome to year two data, enter the courses. So to do that, we're going to take in another optional argument again because we're setting print statement is equal to false. So okay, display here is equal to false because a by default is false, and if display here we print this is the data for year and okay, instead of this it's going to be none because we expect to be value format and whatsoever the display here is by default is none. So at the point where we're initializing it here now, it is no longer the first parameter is the result of x, so x plus 1 because we know that x is an so instead of and because it's range now, we know the range is from 0 1 2, so we want it to be first here, and by default this is false. So let's try running our code again. Python GPA.py. Okay, so I made a mistake. Now function, consider line 59. If you're using so we scroll down to line 59. So this is the mistake. Our function was supposed to take in a bracket, but we passed in. So let's try it again. Python GPA.py. Okay, we made another mistake in line 98. Weighted score divided by, that is line 98. So what did we do here? So we're supposed to use the dot format. Dot format because we're using a string substitution in this place. So let's try it again. Python GPA.py. So you can see now this is the data for year 1. How many courses did we take? Let us use 3. So the first course is GG. I can see I've already had coded the value here to be 2. So I'm going to type in 2 courses. GG 101, the unit, 3 units. I had a B, GG 102. How many units? I had an E. Okay, I made a mistake there. The unit was a 3 units. I had an A. The and GG 103. How many units? 2. I had a C. So now I'm in the data for year 2. How many courses did I take? 4. So GG 201. New number of units 3. I had a B. GG 202. How many units? 4 units. I had an A. GG 203. How many units? 2 units. I had a C. So enter the name for the course GG 204. How many units? 1 unit. I had a B. Okay, so now we're starting making mistake. Our code actually broke. So let's find out where it broke. So the GPA for year 1 is none and self is not defined. So cumulative GPA line, what is that? 102. Let's find out. Self is not defined. So if you right click, go to definition, CLS. So this was a mistake here. We didn't need to do this. And also we're calculating value calculate GPA, but instead it's supposed to be value GPA because at the point when this is initialized, the GPA function has already been initialized. So fortunately we need to do all the typing again, but it shouldn't be a problem. So we remove the self variable that was here and we've changed this to the GPA function because the GPA function is accessible after this runs. So let's see, can we save any of the results? Unfortunately, we will need to type this again. Anyways, it's not a problem. Let's do it. Python GPA.py. Okay, there's an error, line 95. What happened? Total weighted score is equal to sum, so there's an invalid syntax. Okay. Okay, so the format function has its own bracket, and the print function has its own bracket. So let's try it again. Python GPA.py. How many courses did you take? 3. So this is GG 101, 2 units A, GG 102, 3 units B, GG 103, 2 units B. Year 2, how many courses did you take? 4, GG 201, GG 201, 1 unit C, GG 202, 2 units B, GG 203, 3 units A, GG 204, 3 units B. Okay, so it looks like our code is failing for some reason. So calculate object has no attribute total weight. And why is that? So line 95. So I said total weight, but ideally, what is it supposed to be? Total weight score. So you can see how spelling errors are causing our code to fail. Total weight score, let's just confirm that the other one does not fail again. Total number of units, So here, total weight score, total units. Okay, let's try it next time. So you can see how, based on the errors, we look at the line number and it tells us line 95. We trace it back to the line 95 to find out what went wrong in our program, and we'll fix it accordingly. So Python GPA.py. This is the data for year 1. How many courses did you take? 3, GG 101, 1, A, GG 102, B, GG 103, 3, C. How many courses did you take? 4, GG 201, 4, A, GG 22, B, GG 23, 2, C, GG 24, 1, D. And we can see now that the GPA for year 1 was 3.6, the GPA for year 2 is 4.0, and the cumulative GPA is 3.78. And we've successfully done this. Now, let us do something much interesting. You can see how it was actually painful for us to actually type all the values manually. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to read the results from a file. So based on that file, we type in the course, we try and put it in a tabular form, and we'll read the result from the file, and we're going to end up calculating our cumulative GPA from that file. So that sounds much more interesting. So that way, we don't have to keep on typing results manually in the terminal. So